So Barcelona has tied against Manchester United 2-2, and I want to make one thing very clear. I'm very satisfied with the way that Barcelona has played, because if you just look at the result only, then of course you're going to be saying, I'm very disappointed in Barcelona. Barcelona should have played better. We should have beaten Manchester United, and you would assume that Barcelona played bad, like they had a very bad game. But if you were to look at the context and what took place within this game and what Xavi Hernandez has done, which is something that we will be discussing later in the video, then you'll understand why Barcelona did tie against Manchester United at the Camp Nou 2-2, which is why I do say, given the context, I'm very satisfied with how Barcelona played. I think that we also have to understand that Manchester United is a team on the rise. I think that Barcelona do have a bigger ceiling than Manchester United, but in the end, right now, United and Barcelona are in a very similar phase, which is to be on the rebuild. They're trying to rebuild their squad to become one of the best teams in the world one day. This is a United team that knows how to create a game plan. They understand, right? These players understand what Ten Hag does want, and they implement those ideas on the pitch very well. And we have to give respect to this United side. And so in the end, these are two clubs that I believe will be the face of the future of this sport, which is football. I think that by the year of 2025, we will see Manchester United and Barcelona in the top 5 best teams in the world. We're also going to be seeing, your Bayern Munich's, your Real Madrid's, and of course you have City, Liverpool, but Barcelona and Manchester United will be there in that conversation. We're literally going to go back to that era between 2010 and 2013, or between 2008 and 2011. History is repeating itself. Now, this result does not concern me, and I think that for you guys, it should also not concern you guys. You are going to be hearing many news outlets and many people on Twitter, especially, saying that Xavi should be out, that Xavi's not taking us to the correct path, when all of that is unnecessary. We know that this type of noise and what Xavi has done in this match means nothing in the grand scheme of things. And it's crazy, right, to just know that the agenda against Xavi Hernandez is so big. Like, look at Real Madrid, who has had a much tougher path in this season, and they have lost many games, but you don't hear Ancelotti out. You don't see people questioning Real Madrid and their future. You don't see that. But with Barcelona, as soon as they tie in one game, they want to say Barcelona's a bad team, Xavi's not taking them to the correct path, etc, etc. So it's crazy. But now I do want to move on towards the next phase of this video and talk about like the handballs. I know that you guys want me to talk about these decisions that the ref has made, and so I want to quickly address this. Do I believe that the Europa League is robbing FC Barcelona? In a way, yes, because we saw about like 2 or 3 handballs in these 90 minutes with Fred committing a very big handball, but there was nothing. The ref is like, this is not in my agenda. It doesn't cover my best interest. I'm just gonna act like I never seen this in my life, right? It's just so annoying. Barcelona should have been given either a penalty or a foul against Manchester United. Like, for example, there was a penalty that was supposed to happen in the box after one of the players of Manchester United tackling Jordi Alba, and you can see by these pictures that yes, Jordi Alba was tackled and badly. It should have been a penalty for Barcelona, but again, going back to what I did say, it's not in the best interest of these refs in the Europa League. All of this is reminding me of the Champions League and what happened earlier in this season with Dembele being fouled by Alphonso Davies. You can see a picture here, and then also like Ansu Fati making a header with the ball, and then there was a handball inside the box in the penalty box, and it should have been a penalty against Inter Milan, but again, it's not in the ref's best interest. There is a lot of favoritism going on to whoever Barcelona is facing. Now look, I do not enjoy complaining about things like this, because the only way you could combat this and not even have these type of calls affect you is by having a good, controlling, and having superior football. Something that Barcelona did not have against Manchester United, and it's understandable because I will be explaining why Barcelona did not end up being much more superior than Manchester United in a few seconds. But there has been certain decisions that Xavi Hernandez did make that did not allow Barcelona to be much more superior against Manchester United, which is the reason why calls like this did affect Barcelona in the end. So now let's go on to the next phase and talk about why did Barcelona struggle? Why couldn't Barcelona be superior against this Manchester United team, even though, and we know that they can. We know that these players have the capability to score 4 or 5 goals and go in with a clean sheet. We know these players can do that, but why did Barcelona struggle? And that is because of a couple of things. Xavi Hernandez had a very strange starting 11. I have no idea what was going on that night and what Xavi Hernandez was thinking, but to start Marcos Alonso and Jordi Alba against Manchester United, which we all knew was not going to be an easy game, I was like, what is going on? Like, we could say that maybe Xavi Hernandez is prioritizing La Liga, which was the main theme before the game even started, and we saw the starting 11 come out into the media, and everyone was like, why is Alonso and Alba starting? Maybe yes, Xavi Hernandez is prioritizing La Liga over the Europa League, and I think that's correct. I think that Xavi Hernandez does have it right. I think that Xavi should prioritize going in first place of La Liga and winning La Liga, right? I agree with with Xavi, but I have one big but. Just because you're prioritizing a specific competition does not mean that whatever comes after that, and if you prioritize the Europa League next and then the Copa del Rey, it does not mean that within those tournaments, which is the Europa League and the Copa del Rey, it does not mean that you're supposed to be coming in with a disaster class in all other competitions. Like, yes, prioritize what you want to win, but it does not mean that you should not try at all in the Copa del Rey or in the Spanish Super Cup or in the Europa League. Because with Barcelona now being in the Europa League, we have to represent ourselves well. Like, why do you think the Camp Nou was sold out? Like, why do you think every fan bought a ticket to watch this match? Just because they expected to see this Barcelona team to be much more superior, to represent themselves very well, play beautiful football, and actually win in this game. But we did not see that. Can you imagine like 90,000 fans, right? A packed stadium, going in there and then just seeing Barcelona come out with a very strange starting 11 and not even give 110%. So the way that this should have been handled is by, yes, prioritize your La Liga, but come in with the exact same starting 11 like if it was La Liga against Manchester United, and then make the subs early. Like, for example, if you wanted to bring in Marcos Alonso and Jordi Alba and you wanted them to play and rotate a few players, then yes, do that, but do that like on the 60th minute, on the 65th minute. Don't just completely change your starting 11, because that will affect you in the end, which is why we saw Barcelona tie against Man U 2-2. Like, just think about it like this. If you change your 11 and you're losing or you're tying against that team, you're going to end up playing those exact same starters and have them play about 30 to 35 minutes, because you're going to end up wanting to see those goals, and you just put your best players there, and then you're like, why did I even take out these players in the first place? I think that once we saw Christensen and Alejandro Balde on the field, Barcelona looked much more composed on the back. But because they were not there, we did not look as composed. And what really hurt Barcelona, which is another thing that kind of frustrated me, was that Xavi Hernandez has also decided to use Koundé as the main center back to sit between Marcos Alonso and Araujo, and then having Araujo as the right back. And that really hurt FC Barcelona. This is the reason why Manchester United were able to press the defensive line so well, is because there were many moments where Koundé received the ball from Ter Stegen or from whoever else, and we saw Araujo positioned very awkwardly. Like, why was he so high? Why did he not make himself available for Koundé? Which is the reason why Koundé could not find Araujo, because he was supposed to be that man to receive the ball. But because Koundé could not see Araujo, because Araujo was positioned too high, and because Araujo was not dropping deep with Koundé when he knew that Koundé was being pressed, that is why Koundé panicked and he lost the ball so many times and gave the ball away, and we were out of possession, and Manchester United did punish Barcelona when we were trying to build. So it was either Araujo being too high or he was just never available for Koundé, which is why Koundé suffered a lot. It should have been the reverse. Xavi Hernandez should have fixed this by like the 5th minute, when we saw Koundé make that big mistake in the first 4 to 5 minutes. And we should have seen Koundé as the right center back, with Araujo being the main center back between Marcos Alonso and Koundé. That is what we should have seen. Like, there's a reason why Barcelona played so much better by the 65th minute. It is because by the 65th minute, we saw Koundé go back into his position, which is the right center back position, and Araujo going into the middle, and then we saw Christensen come in for Marcos Alonso, and then Alejandro Balde coming in for Jordi Alba. There's a reason why we played much better in the last 30 minutes. Another thing that I also don't want to talk about is going to be revolving around Jordi Alba and Xavi. So the main reason why Xavi Hernandez plays Jordi Alba is because Alba was given the duty to make crosses into the box and to be receiving the ball in high areas, running with the ball, and again, finding players like Lewandowski or Rafinha. So I was like, okay, great, right? A great game plan. We know that Jordi Alba has provided many assists. He has found Lewandowski before. That's a great game plan. And we saw Xavi inverting himself from a left winger into a central midfielder, which meant that the right back of Manchester United, like Juan Bissaka, had to basically drop centrally and leave Jordi Alba free on the left flank of FC Barcelona. This gave space towards Jordi Alba, and so thanks to Xavi positioning himself more inverted, Barcelona were able to find that player and that free man, and that is why we saw Rafinha, Koundé finding Jordi Alba, receiving the ball many times. But the thing is, though, is that once Alba received and made those crosses, he was not effective, and that was very unfortunate. So the one outlet that we had in that attack was not effective at all. Like, it was a great game plan, but the last pass of the attack was bad execution. And so here is going to be the final note. There were many things wrong with his back line. I felt like Alejandro Balde could have given out a much better job through the whole course of the 90 minutes if he started, and he would have made great crosses into the box, but it did not happen. And that is why we did see Balde and Christensen come in later on the 68th minute, because Xavi Hernandez knew that whatever he did by the first minute when the game started, it just wasn't working, and Man United knew how to punish this Barcelona team. I think that Barcelona played much better in the last 30 minutes because of that decision, because we had a total of 8 shots in the last 30 minutes of the second half, while United had a total of 3. In the beginning of the second half, it was the reverse, right? Before Christensen and Balde came in, Man United had 8 shots and Barcelona had a total of 3. So because of what Xavi has done and his tweaks and Ten Hag's great game plan, this led towards having a very even match, which is why you do see a 2-2. We can even see that stats-wise, both United and Barcelona had the same exact amount of shots, which was a total of 18. So that is the conclusion. Let's not pull back. When we visit Manchester United in Manchester, we have to come out with our best 11, not even think about rotating players and give out everything. It's going to be difficult because Pedri's not going to be there. He didn't encounter an injury, had to come out early, and we lost a lot of creativity in the midfield. Xavi is also not going to be there because of the accumulation of yellow cards. Busquets could be there, maybe, but we don't know. One day we hear that Busquets is available and he could be available, and then the next day we hear that Busquets is going to have a setback, and Dembele is also going to be out. Dembele is not going to come back until maybe by the time the Clásico does start. So it's very unfortunate, but either way, like I've said, whatever we do have available, we come out with our best starting 11 because we have a squad that can defeat this United team. So why not do that? Why not go deep into this Europa League and win the trophy? So that will be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.